Little when I'm facing, yeah, yeah. Don't forget that's built that way. All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick it off. Like I said, introduce yourself in the chat, your name, location, LinkedIn profile, if you feel comfortable, and what you're looking to learn today. I am Ariel, and I am your host and career coach, and you are attending the Job Search Makeover Show Up and Show Out in your first 90 days. So whether you have actually secured a new job or you're still on the job hunt, don't worry about it. It's all going to be applicable. This is a webinar for job seekers, career changers, recently hired professionals looking to take charge, find focus and direction in their current or future position, and stop letting other people dictate how they navigate their careers. So if you're ready to get started, type in ready in the chat and let's get going. All right, so I want to start with the agenda. Can everyone see my screen? Perfect. So we've done the welcome, and then we will do a little bit of about me. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. On the next slide, we'll also cover today's topic. So it's show up and show out in your first 90 days. And then we're going to have let's talk about it. I actually have some slides that I wanted to share with y'all and just make sure that we're all starting on the same page when it comes to creating your 90-day plan. We'll have some time for Q&A. Please don't be shy. Also, if there's questions that you have as I'm presenting, this is for you. So let me know and I can kind of stop where I'm going. I have created some time within the presentation so that we can kind of talk about it while I'm going through those things. And I have a couple free gifts for you at the end. All right, cool. So getting right over to it. So a little bit about me. So again, I'm Ariel. I am your host and career coach. And I wanted to start by telling you a little bit about why I'm offering free webinars. So this is actually the fourth webinar of the Job Search Makeover series. I started this for the month of October in honor of my birthday. And today's webinar, like I said, is the last of the series, but the recordings will be available. And I really wanted to give people the tools and relevant advice to take charge of their careers, especially through this tough job market. Like you do all this work to revamp your resume, optimize your LinkedIn, do your job search strategy, and interview prep like crazy. So why not make sure that you're also successful when you do land that role, like starting day one, because we want to set you up for success. Also, just a little bit about my history and kind of where I've been. I spent over 13 years growing my career in the Silicon Valley Bay Area tech industry, and I have a knack for making complex things simple. So my actual areas of expertise have changed. I've done career pivots from finance to revenue operations to project and program management. And now I am a career coach using all of that knowledge and things that I've gained over my course of time in the tech industry to really help serve my clients. Now I'm a career coach. I help job seekers, I help revenue operations and go-to-market professionals achieve their goals with better clarity and guidance. My goal is to impact at least 1,000 careers by the end of 2025, so lofty goals. But I believe I can do it with some strategies I have in place. And so I just wanted to show you a quick view of testimonials. They're also on my website as well. You can get to them as well, but I do want to let you know that I've already gotten started and there is no slowing me down. All right, and back at it, today's topic. So showing up and showing out for your first 90 days. So I wanted to, before we kind of get into the top questions, kind of address a little mini elephant in the room. Some folks may be asking, well, the 90-day plan is not part of the job search. I get it. I hear you. But it's never too early to plan the career of your dreams. You can have goals and things that you like, skills you want to develop. And types of projects that you want to steer your leadership toward. And that is really important when you are trying to communicate in a way that makes sense for yourself and makes sense for your leadership team too. A 90-day plan is the first and foremost thing that you can do. Um, and then pro tip, just for y'all, if you're still job searching out there, you can actually draft a 90-day plan that can be utilized during your interview process to set you apart from other candidates. To say, I hear that you have these challenges and I hear that you have these goals. And I just want to kind of give you a idea of what I would want to do to implement in the first 30, 60, or 90 days on the new job. And then we can work together. We can figure out how to make it adaptable to, if there are needs that have changed or things that come up over time. So that is something that anyone can use to kind of leverage and set themselves apart in the interview process. So I did want to share that pro tip. Um, so before I get into the questions again, has anyone ever created their own 90-day plan, 30, 60, 90-day plan, or has had an opportunity to be involved in the creation of it? You can drop it in the chat, thumbs up if you want. Taking a look, taking a look. I haven't before. Definitely interested though. Perfect. That's what I love to hear. So let's keep it going. So showing up, right? That in the way that I have had my career is just more of a passive approach to your career growth. Like you got the job, you start your first day, you attend orientation, you set up the systems, and then you kind of like let your hard work speak for itself. And then you trust that like your leadership or management team will promote you in due time because they see all of your hard work and your contributions. And then what I've experienced, and I think a lot more of folks that I have coached, managed, mentored along the way in my career have experienced is like, well, I'm not fulfilled. Like this promotion can't come fast enough. I am missing out on opportunities like career growth, bonuses, more compensation. And then you get to a point where you're like, this has got to stop. No more. And I don't want folks to wait until it's too late. Like, why not start from day one, right? And let your goals be known, right? Goals around skills, goals around career growth. That's what I mean. And so then when I say show out, I say this is more of like an active involvement in shaping your career trajectory, because if you get a job at this role, I'm assuming you're going to want to grow. So whether that's people management, or you want to manage more processes or the product, or be able to be you have your name in the hat when it's time for your leadership to consider for promotions. Like you got to be active. So that's managing up sometimes and communicating better and more frequently. That's taking on projects of your choosing because they're a part of your career goals. And what that does is it really leads to accountability for yourself and for your management team to make you the professional that you see and that you want to grow into. And a good part of this too, like kind of a spin-off of the first 90 days, but you are also setting yourself up, not just as a professional, but your personal life too. So you're using that time for the systems and, doing one-on-ones and getting to know people. You're also doing a lot of HR documentation and setting up your benefits. I'm gonna talk about financial planning too. Like if you need somebody that you want me to introduce you to as a financial planner, I actually have someone in mind. Like that's part of your success too. So on the job and off the job, show out, be active, right? So now jumping into the top questions about 90-day plans. So why do I need a 90-day plan? So sometimes people ask themselves, where the heck do I even start in this new position? And how can I make a good impression without feeling like so overwhelmed and so like almost defeated because you're like, there's so much. So we're trying to create some structure, right? And so when you say, why do I need a 90-day plan? Um, Sometimes your managers don't even have time to define your roles roadmap and what success look like. Sometimes they're just so overwhelmed, they're busy, they're just needed to get you in because you have the skills and qualifications to do the job, but they may not have the roadmap. So I just want to kind of pause there and say, don't always leave it to your manager or your leadership team to have that clearly defined. Make it um, an active and regular goal to make sure that you are checking in on your progress and the things that you want to do to build your career. Setting clear goals and defining your success, like having those metrics that matter to the business, that matter to you, so that you can, when it's time for promotion, bring it to your leadership team and say, I've done all of these things to impact the company and to support the goals and the vision, and these things align with the business as well. And then be flexible. So with your 90-day plan, things may change, but be flexible so that it's still relevant for yourself, because your ideas and interests may change, and also the business goals and needs may change as well. So be flexible and evolve. And then, so some people may also ask me, Ari, what the heck is a 90-day plan? Like, you've been talking all about this 90-day plan stuff. I don't even know. I alluded to it earlier, but it is a structured roadmap for the first 3 months in a new role. It outlines your key goals, learning objectives, and strategies to make an impact early on. And I'm talking like day one, right? Like show up and show out. And then lastly, what if I didn't create a 90-day plan? Like I started, I've done the orientations, I've done the HR benefits packages, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not too late. You can always bring it up during a one-on-one. And if you're not having one-on-ones, you can schedule one-on-ones to use it as a way to refine your current role and responsibilities, and see if some of the components from when you actually started the job to where you're at today may look a little bit differently. And what that signals to a manager, especially when I was managing people and leadership team, is that it's the underlying theme of showing dedication, showing loyalty, showing that you want to grow, showing that this is a person that really wants to show up and shine. And like, we need to craft their their career development plan. They're setting themselves apart. And then we also want to hone in on it too. Like, how can we lean in and support this person in their goals, because they're showing up to show us that like they're worthy of more effort and support from us as leadership as well. So that's how I wanted to make sure that I tie in some of the best practices for people that are already on the job, because it's never too late, right? And if you're thinking about even switching from one role internally to the next, again, you use the same thing. You got to find a way to have a plan and execute your plan together. Okay. All right. So let's jump into it. Any questions? Feel free to drop any questions in the chat if you have them. You can come off mute. I definitely want this to be an interactive experience for everyone. Nothing yet, nothing yet. Don't be shy. Perfect. Thank you, Cooper. All right, so let's talk about it. 90-day plans. I want to really I have some more slides coming up. It's about 3 slides. Breaking it into 30, 60, and 90-day plans. That's important because we can't do everything starting day one, and we have to kind of have a roadmap. So I'll walk you through that. We're going to use these plans to set a strong foundation early on, take strategic action to build value and visibility. The goal is not to just get in and do stuff and like have a lot of movement, but not a lot of impact on that movement. So that's why we're going to be strategic about it, and then solidify your long-term success and career growth. So jump right into First 30 days, what do? We lay the foundation. We're going to take charge of your success in your new role. It starts right here in that first 30-day window. You're going to set the stage to understand the company landscape. You are going to build relationships, learn the systems, processes, set short-term goals, and overall make the most of your in-person time. So with some roles, they may be hybrid, they may be remote, they may be in person. But if you are on site or in person for the first 30 days, depending on what that schedule may be, still make the most of your in person time. You don't want to be sitting at your desk, like trying to get into systems and things like that. That face-to-face time is actually very valuable, to introduce yourself, and you can kind of use your internal like pitch about to introduce yourself and what your role is and what you're looking to do in the first 90 days, because then people can resonate with you and say, oh, okay, this person has this goal, so I know who to go to. Or if I have this problem, I can go to Cooper and Cooper can help me, unblock this challenge that I'm having. So also, what should you do? Immerse yourself in the business, the teams, the process or processes, customers, because sometimes in our roles, we need to be the voice of the customer, and even a competition. So I use the golden triangle framework a lot when I'm coaching my clients. It's people, processes, and product, or challenges that we need to solve depending on what kind of job you do. But those are the pillars, to lay the foundation. And I gave you a couple little bonuses in here as well. But that's really what you want to have a good focus on in the first 30 days, a good understanding, so that you can, again, be more strategic in how you plan the rest of your 90 days. All right, so moving on. 60 days. So now we're getting really into it. We're deepening our knowledge and building influence. It's a time to shift from foundational understanding to actively contributing and strengthening your role on the team. Again, you can do this from any level. Like I've seen it from intern to VP and above. Like you can definitely start to build your influence and deepen your knowledge there. Like nothing, I would say, don't count yourself out. There's nothing that can be left on the table with this. You can focus on building key relationships, showcase your value through early wins, adapt and gather feedback, and prepare the 90-day review with documented achievements. So I used to have, I started in finance, y'all. So I used to document everything in a good old spreadsheet. But nowadays, there are tools that you can use that are free and easier to use. And you just have to hold yourself accountable to update those, whatever tool you use, whether it's an app on your phone, your notes, spreadsheet, whatever it is, just make sure you are consistently updating it, and you can set like a calendar reminder, um, you know, on a weekly basis to say like, this is what I did, or this is what I achieved, so that you can go back to it and elaborate on it when it's time. But just starting from scratch on making sure that you have your achievements listed. And then what you should do, you should also, again, formally introduce yourself, share your vision and your strategies, set expectations and key metrics. Yes, like the idea of doing it weekly. I saw that comment. And when I say set expectations, this is, it can also be a synonym for boundaries. Sometimes, like in the roles that I was filling back in the day, I would maybe be starting the team, or a team of a very small team. And, people have all of these things that were keeping them up at night, or were challenges. And they're like, you're going to be the person to fix it. And if that wasn't really my role, or wasn't really my responsibility to fix, and say, okay, well, let me look into that a little bit more. I just want to let you know that my, roles and responsibilities entail X, Y, and Z, and just kind of like gently list that out. so that people understand that if I'm not the go-to person, then maybe who is the go-to person, so that you're not getting inundated, again, within that first 90 days, with things that really shouldn't concern you. You are focusing on your quick wins and your strategies to build your vision, build your internal brand, so that people, get to know you, not just to be the problem solver. And that was my roles back in the day. I actually solve problems, but not everybody's problems were my responsibility. And then lastly, establish a feedback loop with key stakeholders. So we'll definitely have a manager. If there are folks that are dotted line to you, which means like they don't directly manage you, but they have a key influence, or they're a stakeholder in your development, or you'll be working with them cross-functionally a lot, making sure that you establish that, like, hey, I know that we're going to be working together. A good tip to use is who's on your interview panel. You might want to see if you need to circle back with those folks and say, hey, is it okay to have like maybe a bi-weekly check-in, or however frequently you want to do it, because they're invested in your success too. All right, and again, drop in any questions. If you have anything that you want to come off mute and say, feel free to let me know. We are definitely moving and grooving through this presentation, and I want to give us a lot of time to chat, so don't be shy. Okay, and then as I'm looking, keep going. All right, last but not least, the 90-day mark. So we're leading up to it. So day 61 through 90, we are going to make a lasting impact. Again, this is not lasting because you're leaving, but lasting because this is trying to set you up for the rest of your time in that role, right? So in this final phase, you'll focus on solidifying your contributions, ensuring alignment with leadership and their long-term goals, and implementing your strategy and executing it flawlessly. Like, you don't want to mess up, right? We should have all the energy, we have the skills, we have the resources that we've already communicated that we need, to execute whatever goals, or metrics that we have identified in our 90-day plan. And again, the goal is to set yourself up for continued success in your role. You don't want to kind of look back and say, oh my God, I needed a budget. Oh my God, I needed to hire somebody else. Oh my God, we need to, and you're now uncovering these gaps. You're making it known up front that you will be driving these different projects and tasks and deliverables. But if there's things that you need along the way, that you're also making that very clear to your leadership team too. All right, so what you should do: deliver measurable impact on key projects and tasks. So like I said, log it. You can do it on a weekly basis. You can do it more frequently depending on your job and how often things may change in your role, or in the company. So just to, have some grace on that too, but do not treat that calendar reminder as optional. Treat it as required. Like it's a meeting with your manager you can't miss, just to make sure you do it. Present your results. You can also refine and enhance your role. Again, this is for those out there that may have been on the job for a little bit, but they are looking to kind of have some more direction and focus based on where they are today versus what they were hired to do some time ago. Totally fine. Strengthen your network and visibility. Again, this is, what do they call it? I'm totally blanking on it. But it's like an introduction tour. Like you go around and you just introduce yourself to people. And again, if you're in person, great. If it's remote, no biggie. If you have an internal messaging tool like Slack or Meet, whatever it is, just sending, like having a templatized version of like, this is me. And, you can always, contact me, book some time on my calendar, and just really being open to hearing what the challenges are around the company, that makes sense for you, and then can help you identify some projects and tasks for your key wins. Because not everybody's is going to be taken up, but just understanding like, if this is going to impact me, my team, my role, maybe I can address this very quickly because I've done this before. And then you can kind of get some of those wins under your belt. And then reflect on your achievements and gather feedback. The feedback loop, again, is super, super critical. Um, what I used to do, I had a counterpart in HR. We created what we call brag boxes. So it was just a folder on our desktop. You can put it in your drive or whatever you feel comfortable. But whenever somebody gives you praise for something you did, whether it's at an all hands meeting or, they text you because you have that relationship with something that you did that was a great win. Um, we would screenshot it and then put it in our brag box. So if you're having a bad day or if you're feeling like you have imposter syndrome, you go back to those screenshots in your brag box and you like give yourself a boost. Like, I'm not an imposter. I actually have delivered impact, because we can get kind of defeated every now and then. And it's not it's not uncommon for us to be hard on ourselves. And so that's a way to kind of help relieve some of that stress that kind of comes up sometimes, and that doubt that comes up during the 90 days. So definitely did that. Great. Great. Keep it going. Like, definitely keep it going. So now I want to shift gears to the Q&A. So if you feel comfortable, please take yourself off mute. I want to hear from you what you think about the 30, 60, 90-day plans, if you want me to go back and elaborate on anything. And just chit-chatting. Like, you guys have introduced yourself through the chat, and then you can see each other as attendees for the network under the networking tab for this event. So keep in touch, right? Like, if you're in the same industry or you're thinking about switching careers, use each other. Like, that's what I'm also trying to build, like a little community. When folks are definitely joining the webinars, I'm planning to have some LinkedIn lives in the future, but anything coming up for you?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I was wondering, what would you say is like would be a really effective strategy to immerse yourself in the business in like the first 30 days?
You can be the fly on the wall, that's passive. But what I would suggest actually is ask the silly questions. Introduce yourself to as many people as you can and ask the silly questions. Hey, I'm new here. I just want to understand this. Or can you walk me through the process? Or I'm not able to connect the dots on this process versus this tool. And be that curious person. Because the more you're curious and the more questions you ask, you're actually getting more data points, and you're getting to see like who's going to regularly be involved and invested in you and your role and your success. Who is going to actually give me the tea, like let me know what's really going on in here. So that's really part of it, so that you can again get sticky in the organization, and then you can start to build your credibility. You're building your brand internally, like, I am a dedicated individual. I'm curious, I'm going to deliver on these things. Circling back, a big one is communication. I think a lot of the success that I had, um, and now let me talk about it actually. So in one of my positions, I reported to the CFO directly, however, dotted line to the CEO, which means anything the CEO cared about, kept him up at night. It was also part of my responsibility to help unblock it. But I couldn't have been promoted into that position had I not been curious and communicated so much like the 2 years prior to that. So a lot of it was, I heard you say something in the meeting and that kind of resonated with me. And I'm thinking about this project and I'm trying to decide if I should add a little bit more to that project so that it actually helps you out, C-suite XYZ, because there was like 13 of them. Or we had let's see, we had a huge meeting. I'm giving you real examples. That's what I got. But we had a huge meeting and I heard all of these complaints. Like no one was happy. So I'm like, "Ooh, here we go. This is where I live, right? So I'm like documenting all of these challenges, what they're, is it a process problem? Is it a people problem? Is it a product problem? And where do I fit in solving the problems that or the challenges that they're kind of spewing out, if you will. Um, and that makes sense for me to try to solve. And so I took all of that data and follow-up meetings, a lot of them, and it wasn't even like because we were hybrid. So some of them were like Zoom meetings, like, hey, can I have a 15-minute check-in on this topic? And we would Slack in advance to like so that they have more clarity. Or when I was in the office, one really good thing was like walk-in talks. And so I would take the VPs and C-suites on like these 15-minute walks. I'm like, let's get some steps in. Let's go. Let's get out the office. Because sometimes what happens is, they're able to kind of let the shoulders down, to be honest, and then um, give you more information than if they were just behind a Slack, or on a meeting. And another component to that, when I would take them on the walk and talks, they weren't distracted as much so that I could get what I needed from them. Like you spewed out this challenge, but let me understand a little bit more about it so that I can fix it correctly. Because the last thing I want to do is try to deliver a quick win and they're like, that don't make sense to what I to my challenge. Like, thanks, but like, no thanks. Like that's not what you want, right? And that's not the messaging that you want to send behind your brand either. Like, yeah, they'll do stuff to get things done, but it's not in the right way. Make sense?
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
I always have long story longs, my bad, but
No, you're totally good. I
no.
really like the idea of, like, mentioning something they brought up in a meeting and, like, asking how you can integrate it into your project too. That's a
Mhm,
really good idea.
mhm. And you be strategic. Think about your stakeholders. Not everybody gets um that level of consideration, if you will. There will always be naysayers. There will always be people that need something to be done yesterday. But, if it's not in your immediate sphere of stakeholders, you just really want to be um, cognizant if that is something that you want to take on or not. And can it be done quickly? Create a SMART goal around these projects or tasks. Like, can I actually do this in 2 weeks? Quick win. Can I do it in 3 weeks? Is it going to take a month? Um, but your goal is to kind of get a bunch of quick wins under your belt to kind of show your versatility um, in your role. Yeah,
Makes sense. Thank you so much again.
of course, of course. Other questions out there? Y'all know I.
Hello.
Hello, Xiomara.
So one of the things that I do when I'm on an interview, one of the things that I like doing is that I always ask the person that's hired that's the hiring team or the hiring manager, whoever I interview. I always ask them, do you have a 90-day plan? And the reason why I do ask is because I think that it's important for anyone that's a new employee, that the hiring team, that team that's hiring you, that they have at least an agenda, a 90-day agenda for you, so that go when you jump in there, when you join the team, that you're just not, you know, just coming in and just, sort of like
Winging
sitting
it,
in your desk.
winging it and wasting time.
Exactly. So, because my thing is, if you want me to actually understand the work that you're going to do, then you need to because I mean, my thing is, if I'm hiring somebody, I already have a plan on how I'm going to need them to progress in 30 days. This is what I need to see, you know. So And I always say it's important to ask that question. When they usually have those plans, um, it means that the organization is also a way for you to recognize as a job seeker, and that's a way that you can identify whether a company has it all together.
Very good point, Xiomara, because like I said, I have careers in my prior career was in tech. And so I've joined smaller private companies, companies that have gone public, companies that were already public. And you'll see just a vast difference between their level of preparedness
Yep.
between, startup land or IPs, a publicly traded company. So if you are a person, and I'm gonna go into another spiel here, but if you are a person that thrives well under structure, making sure that you ask that question, do you have a 90-day plan? Has someone in this role progressed or has been promoted, in this role before? Asking those types of questions so that you can ensure your success is critical, right? And so you don't want to leave it until like your first day to know whether or not if you're going to be starting on the right track or not. Get that information up front. And then when you're comparing, different offers, this company has a 90-day plan. They've, promoted people within and yada, 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 all the great things that are on your, your must-have list versus this one that's like, ooh, I'm gonna have to roll up my sleeve. I'm going to have to manage up. I'm going to have to like really drive the direction behind a lot of this. Then you figure out how you thrive or figure out if that's what you need in your career. Sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zones too. But you decide if that's what you want. If you want to stay in a company that is going to challenge the heck out of you in so many different ways. I've been challenged, but some of those challenges really shaped me, my interest, my stickiness in the field. Like RevOps was one of the ones I was like, woo, I'm doing a whole heck of a lot here. And that's why it's still very core to me and who I am and why I coach revenue operations and go-to-market professionals. Because there's so much to be done. So much to be done. And you really have to strategize. You really have to have a good team, and a good plan. Like I had some companies, they're like sink or swim, and you don't always have the tools to swim, right? You're like, I don't even know how to create a smart plan by myself, or I don't even know how to create a 90-day plan by myself. I don't know how to take in all of these data points of the company challenges and gripes and complaints, and how to prioritize them, right? So like these are things that I had to learn and real fast so that I can again have quick wins, be able to show up and show out, be able to have my name in the hat when it's time for promotion, because I'm like, I'm not gonna let you go another round of promotions and like my name's not on the list, or I'm not getting a bonus, or I'm not getting a promotion, or something isn't progressing in my career. I can't have that. I can't afford that. Other things I'm gonna keep kind of poking and asking as things come up. Where y'all at?
It's also, you know what, when you ask questions like that, do you have a transitioning plan, an onboarding plan? These things, these key questions, they are, they're a way for you to understand how, if this company is even going to be the right one for you, basically. Because, I've learned from experience that generally speaking, when you ask them about a transitioning plan and they can't give you an answer, that's a red flag where you basically have to worry about internal promotions. You have to worry about salary increases, bonuses. These are things that are red flags. And those are key questions that I like to ask on interviews. And depending on how they respond, you can kind of tell whether they get that nervous ha 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 laughter that you're like, yeah, I know, I get
Yep.
it.
Yep. And, to that point that Xiomara was making around red flags, really understanding the underlying red flags, and sometimes they're not always like very apparent. So like trusting your gut, like, that didn't sound right, or I didn't really like that answer, or being confident to say, can you elaborate more? Can you tell me more about that? Or do you have an example? Like, again, do you have an example of someone who has been successful with this onboarding plan or with this 90-day plan? And if you get that, like Ciamato was saying, if you get that kind of feeling that they're just kind of trying to sweep it under the rug just to keep the interview going and keep you interested as a candidate, always double back, ask your questions, right? This is your career, not theirs. Other things. Okay. I'm gonna keep I have just a couple other points that I wanted to just share on just not necessarily the job search makeover strategy as a whole, but the idea behind 90-day plans too. That's 1/4 of the year, 3 months of the year where you can really start by driving impact, right? And if we think how performance reviews are cyclical, typically, I know this market is tough, to even find a job and then to actually have a company that still appreciates and promotes and um, continually compensates their employees is really tough right now, but they still have to have a plan, right? They still have to think about your growth and development, and then otherwise you have some tough decisions to make. But back to my original point, like being able to show up and show out in that first 90 days, again, is going to set you up. If you know that you need to build certain skills or you want to have exposure to certain leadership, maybe this is a person that is, an influencer, if you will, or doing something really interesting in the industry, thinking about your exit plan too, right? Um, I know this job market is tough and you're doing all this work to try to land that first job, but like if it's not first job, but land your next job. If it's not serving you, figuring out what you can do to get those skills built, the visibility built, your resume can look, it'd be sitting pretty, but by a year from now in this role, your LinkedIn, you've been updating it as you have made achievements and success, and really utilizing the time wisely to figure out how you'll exit out of that role, but successfully, and not pissed off or not having to take, unless you want to, but having to take the same role over and over again because, you know, the next company doesn't feel that you have developed enough of the skill set to be able to have a higher title or higher position the next time around, to show your growth and development in the field or in that industry or in that type of role. So having a plan, this is setting yourself up, and you know, having your management team be part of that is definitely important, but thinking about the future too. And I think that's one of my kind of gotchas back in my day where I didn't have an exit plan. Like if something goes awry, have I built the skills to confidently move forward? Because each time you move from one company to the next, the idea is that you'll make more money, you'll have better benefits, or whatever the case may be. You'll have more leveraging or negotiating power because you are growing, growing, growing in your career, and you're not leaving money on the table. I talk about money a lot. That's a lot of what people care about, but there's other things you can negotiate too. So you can fill in the blank there, but I always like to start with like salary, compensation, benefits. But like if it's a sign-on bonus, if it is a relocation, stipend that they give you, there's all types of things that you can leverage for your next role. But like, how do you make sure that you are attracting the recruiters or hiring managers for your next role to say like, ooh, I don't want to miss out on this person. I don't want to miss out on what they have to offer because they are checking all my boxes. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. We have about 3 more minutes left in the Q&A, and then, I wanna like I said, I wanna share some free gifts with y'all. Y'all, it was my birthday, but I'm giving all y'all the gifts, so I wanna make sure that I get to that as well. So any last questions? And again, you can come up.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't have a question. I just want to let everybody know. So if you're not familiar or aware, so the Department of Labor does have this program where they pay for they fund for your for any professional certification that you training that you may want, anything that's under $5,000, they will actually pay for it, whether it's online or in person. So feel free to reach out to your local Department of Labor office and find out and get all the details, but it takes literally about maybe less than 3 weeks to get approved for the funding. And it's just another way for me to just give folks information. It'll keep you busy while you're looking for a role, and at the same time you can earn some new skills.
That's awesome, Xiomara. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you all for saying happy birthday as well. I appreciate it. And I do see a comment here. Better work-life balance is also a benefit I've been looking for my next job. Absolutely. Like if a remote is a must-have, like stick to your guns. I have what is called a what do you want statement. I believe it's on my YouTube channel, but I'm actually revamping my resume, not my resume, my website as we speak, so that I have more of my videos available there. But I know for sure that that one is on my YouTube channel, just to help kind of clarify and give you guidance and focus on the things you want for your next role. So whether it is a small business where you can say no more than 500 employees, that is a different experience than working at a company that has 1,000 more or 1,000 or more employees, 10,000 employees or more. The experience will be different, but it helps to guide you so you're not even applying to things that are not on what you want statement. So you can check that out when you have time, but let's get over to the free gifts. I'm going to go ahead and share one more time. Okay. All right, free gifts. Can you see that? I have two different QR codes here. I will also drop it into the chat as well. Give me 1 second. The first one is my Calendly link. So if you have been in attendance to one or all four of the webinars that I've had this month, great on you. But I also want to make sure that we can keep the conversation going. If there was something you're like, that didn't make any sense, Ari, that went over my head, help, please. Let's talk about it, right? A lot of what I offer to clients as far as my job seekers is a hybrid approach to coaching. So I have a platform where you can have weekly lessons on resume review, LinkedIn optimization, job search strategy, and interview prep. And then it's coupled with live sessions with me too. And what I found is that in being able to help folks understand and kind of have a foundation or a baseline of knowledge, they're then ready, like super ready to implement the strategies and have thought kind of creatively on how they can implement some of the best practices that I have in the on-demand course in our sessions when we're talking live. So that's the first one. It's a 30 minutes strategy session. If you feel ready, book it now. Also, I have the accomplishments journal. So earlier in the presentation, I talked about notating your accomplishments and kind of keeping track of your success. This is a free template on Notion to be able to do that. You just create a copy for yourself and you can use it and drop it in. There's a couple of instructions so that you always keep the most relevant uh, accomplishments kind of at the top and at the forefront, and it just keeps growing, because there's not going to be a limit to how much you contribute to this role, this job, this company. And when it's time to update your resume, or if it's time to um, uh, you know, put yourself out there for a change from, internal change from this role to the next, you can start to list those things rather than a lot of what my clients I don't even remember what I did a month ago, let alone at the start of, my role. And so this is to help kind of bridge that gap, and is a way that I wanted to make sure that folks had it available. Feel free to share it. Like I said, this is free. Um, but these are all the kind of things that I wish I had like at my disposal way back when. And so I'm like, this is something easy I could put together. I see a comment. I really like the accomplishments table. Yeah, keeping it organized. Like I said, my knack is keeping, like, making complex things simple. That is the way that I could to kind of take one step out of the whole thing for y'all, is just creating a table, creating some instructions behind it. And then as you kind of grow or learn or find more interesting or useful, um, whether it's an app or something else to keep everything organized, you can eventually evolve and grow, but this is a good starting point. So those are the free gifts. And then lastly, I just wanted to say thank you for joining. It has been such a good run, not only on today's webinar, but all 4 webinars that I've hosted all month long. I am looking to continue to have them. So I believe we all are connected on LinkedIn. If you want to message me and you feel comfortable and you're like, Ari, this is something that I'm struggling with, and I don't feel like I should probably bring it up in the career strategy session, but I think more people can benefit from this. I'm always looking for ideas to have a LinkedIn Live or another webinar. My hope and goal is to always serve people where they are today. So like I said, I'm going to have these webinars up on the website, but again, I've got to evolve and grow as this market shifts and changes and throws us all for a loop. So I am also looking to find ways to, again, impact 1,000 careers by the end of 2025. And through, larger outreach efforts, whether it's in person, online, that's what I'm looking to do. So I'm putting that out there. Don't ever feel like shy to reach out to me. I hope, you kind of get a sense of my personality, that I'm very approachable, very understanding, and I also want to say I commend you as well, like going through this really tough job market, and I hope that you land something soon. So with that, I will stop sharing. We've got about 4 more minutes left. If you have interviews coming up, because I know a few did, good luck on your interviews. I hope you hear back. I hope you make it to the next round. Um, I just wanted to continue to say thank you. Like, I really appreciate y'all for being here, and let me know when you need help, okay? You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're going to be hearing from me. I had an interview recently.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I'm going to be called. I hope I am. I think it went well, but
Okay.
um, hopefully, I just want to ask you like a few things,
Sure, sure, sure.
because I'm just like, oh, God, there's certain things that I get so nervous when I have to speak in an interview, and I don't know why.
Gotcha. Let's talk about it. I just had a client that was on the same path. She's like, I'm getting interviews, but I think something is not right because I'm either not progressing or not hearing back. And so we kind of had to do a little bit of strategy to figure it out. And now her biggest update is that she got 3 offers within 3 days.
Oh, wow.
No. And so she is
That's real.
crossed,
Oh, God bless her.
can take one of those offers by the end of this week is her goal. So I'm like,
Oh, God bless.
yeah,
That's a win. That's a win for you as well.
right, right. So like when my clients win, I win, and I just want to keep that going. So I'm really, really looking to hear back from her. And like, I'm like, just text me, text me. But yeah, so you like I said, I leave with a big open heart. Yeah, sometimes it kind of maybe expands a little bit more beyond coaching because I know that I'm in a small way impacting people's lives too. It's not just the career.
Yep. Yep. And it's a lifetime relationship that you're building with them also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, y'all. So I will go ahead and end the webinar. It was great to meet you and see you. And like I said, let's keep the conversation going and use the career strategy session as you need so that we can figure out how to unblock you in your job search process. All right, y'all. You'll have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to hearing from y'all soon.
Thank you, Ariel. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.